Look who's in the house, our friend Erik Hatch. Welcome, Erik. Glad to have you here. How are you?
I'm on top of the world today. It is one of those fantastic days. It's like Christmas just came in September.
Because your book is waiting for you.
It is. I got a text waiting to get on air with you that my book had just arrived at my office, months and months in the works, and all of a sudden, poof, it showed up, and I'm here seeing your beautiful face. So talk about a conflict of interest.
Well, we're glad to have you in the new Flag Family Media headquarters here.
Thanks. I've been in your old studio plenty of times. This is my first time in the new digs. Looks like things are going well. Dang. I may nap here. I may sneak. I hear there's a golf simulator in the break room.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you're interested in a new on-air personality, because I'm going to come and just hang out here and be a fly on the wall.
Well, you're an author now. You're big time. So you name your price. You got it. You're in. The book is called, the book is all about servant leadership,
Yes,
which I think is a fabulous topic. A lot of people might not grasp what that means. We know what leadership is, but what is servant leadership?
I can only relate it to, I think, the most logical answer, and I'm trying to live like Christ as best as I can. And that means putting other people first. It means going out of my way for relationships. It means getting close and approximate with people so you can see the whites of their eyes while still having the power to zoom out to see the whole sum of the parts. As a servant leader, I think it's imperative that we pay attention to not only what we need, because we can't not take care of ourselves. It's imperative with that. But the next step is we got to take better care of our people and not look at our folks in our world, whether you're at the top of the food chain or the new guy on the totem pole. Wherever you are, your job is to serve. Your job is to take care of the people next to you. And so the title, Play for the Person Next to You, comes from the Bison football show. As ironic as that is, I would watch these young men get interviewed every week, and when they'd be asked, what does it mean to be a Bison? What does it mean to be a part of this legacy? And they would say almost every time, I've learned to play for the person next to me. And they had this value instilled in them at such a young, formative age that real champions are made when we're serving and not by taking.
Really interesting take on life, really, and certainly business as well, in what you're saying, because there's a freedom in that, isn't there? When you decide to live your life that way, there's a freedom in that, to not constantly be worried about, elbow somebody out of the way for a better position or whatever. I mean, you're still competitive, you still want to do well, but there's a freedom in playing for the other person.
A freedom and a responsibility. Zig Ziglar says that you can have everything in life you want if you help enough others get what they want. And I'm betting my life on that. I am showing up every day trying to say, instead, what can you do for me? But I'll say, what can I do for you? I have the privilege of running a number of businesses in town. And when people say, Erik, how many people work for you? My answer is none. I don't have anybody that works for me, because I go to work for them every day. And if they can have the success that they want in life, I feel like I'm getting everything that I need. I'm swimming in an abundance pool at this point. Those are my complaints, that I have too much food, too much forehead, and too much opportunity. Those are my complaints.
Give me an example.
I'm not listening to your complaints.
Give me an example where you're sort of your proudest kind of example of how this has played out for you.
We have a guy in our world. His name is Jim. He's a member of our team over at Hatch Realty. And Jim has been one of those servant leaders, and he's shown up. And instead of me talking about my accolades, I want to talk about Jim, because he's gone. When we started him in our world 4 or 5 years ago, he was almost bankrupt. Had just had a series of bad choices and happenstances where he was down and out, and he has crawled out of his hole. Now, he's still fighting to eliminate some of the issues that had come before him. But now, all of a sudden, Jim is the most formative inside sales agent in the entire country. He has gone from somebody 5 years ago who nobody would give a chance to now he is the top of the food chain, and nobody is better than him in the entire country for what he does. Now, Jim had a scare a few months ago, and they found a tumor on his testicle. Probably didn't think we'd talk about testicles on the air, but here we are.
I did not, but yeah, a tumor's a tumor. You don't know, you can't pick where it goes.
And Jim had embraced the style of transparency that we embrace at Hatch Realty. And that was, we can't ignore a cancer that we have in our personal life at work. We can't have a bad marriage or a bad relationship and then come to work and just act like everything's okay. Compartmentalization didn't work for us in our world. And instead, if we were going to play for the person next to us, we had to tend to them both in the ups and the downs, the good and the bad, personal and professional. Thank goodness his tumor was benign. All was well. He's down to one testicle now, but he's hanging on strong. We even had a going away ball for him.
I see what he did there. Yeah.
That's great, man. That's funny.
And with all that now, Jim set an example in our area, in our arena, where we want to be a place that embraces the suck. And we want to be a place that deals with those things that oftentimes offices try to leave outside their doors. We think we get harder working team members, we get a better foundation of trust, and now all of a sudden we're showing up saying, how can I help somebody, not just with their job performance, but with their life? We think we're doing a better job of caring for the whole when we do that.
And I would imagine that multiplies, right? So Jim knows somebody, and somebody knows that person, and all of a sudden they understand about your culture pretty quickly, and you're thought to be different for all the right reasons.
I love that you said the word multiply. It is one of our core values. It's one of the purposes of what we do. It's the vision of our company is to multiply. We want to take this goodness that we have, being community-minded, being servants, being those that play for the person next to us, and we want to multiply that. I went to the Global Leadership Summit every year now for the last 6 or 7 years. They have a great simulcast at Bethel Church in Fargo. And one of my team members, and I tell this story in the book, he and I both were on fire. We kept hearing this theme of multiply, multiply, multiply. And my wife and I had adopted that theme. In fact, there's a song by a band called Need to Breathe, and the song is called Multiplied. It was the anthem of my daughter's birth. We dealt with infertility for about 6 years, and then when she was finally born, we made a birth video, and the anthem was Multiplied. And so my team member Kyle and I were feeling on fire. Kyle was 26 at the time, wanting to figure out how he could multiply his efforts. And I challenged him, and he challenged me, and we said, we got to play bigger. We got to do more in this world. And so Kyle said, when I'm 30 years old, I want to donate $100,000 to nonprofits. At the age of 26. How many 26-year-olds do you know that are saying something like that? And instead, we said, Kyle, you aren't going to run a marathon once and be done. Let's work towards it. And so when he was 26, when he was 27, he donated 10 grand. When he was 28, 30 grand. When he was 29, 60 grand. And now he turns 30 this year, and he'll donate $100,000 because he wanted to multiply his efforts, and he wanted to multiply goodness. And this came from talking about passions instead of talking about work.
Wow, that's amazing. How do you take that, that culture, that way of thinking, that way of life, and remind everybody that, look, the ultimate goal here is for you to be profitable, us to be profitable. That the ultimate goal is there. I mean, obviously, motivating them, probably they figure that out on their own. But do you ever get to a point where, okay, there's so many of those things that I'm having to deal with that are helping people, and it's the right thing to do because I'm playing for the person next to me, but the bottom line is hurting because of it. Does it take care of itself?
No, I mean, the bottom line is always a concern. Let me ask you a very honest question. The number one purpose of business is what?
Well,
we say profit, right?
Yes, certainly. Yeah,
Right.
I mean, I always say, to provide for other families, but ultimately you can't provide for families if you don't have a profit.
Right, and we take that and we actually we turn it just a little bit, because I think that profit is necessary for business like air is necessary for your lungs. If you don't have it, you can't function.
Exactly.
But is the purpose of your life to breathe? I don't think so. I think the purpose of your life is to live out a mission and to serve and to care for people, the same as the purpose of my business. Profit is essential in what we're doing, but it has to go beyond that. There has to be more to it. At least that's been our greatest retention tool. And helping people to come alive in our world is that we aren't there for them to just maximize their profit. We're there to maximize their life. And when we can tend to those things, well, I think we're speaking the love languages of millennials and Gen Xers and baby boomers and everyone across the board.
Have you seen the most success with that group, the younger groups?
Well, fortunately, yeah, my background is in youth ministry. I prefer working with kids over adults any day of the week because they're so naive.
Third graders? Or
I worked with middle schoolers and high schoolers for 8 years. And if you ever want to talk about the reason why I am bald is because of those youth groups. And I loved working with kids because you could tell them you can go and change the world. and they hadn't been burned by life.
Yeah.
They hadn't been scarred and tattered, and instead they believed actually that they could go and do good in the world and that they could go and change the world. And then some of them were foolish enough and they actually went and did it.
We have a short time left, but I do want to know a little bit about you. You're the mastermind behind this vision and this culture. Do you ever feel the weight of the world on your shoulders? Do you ever have a down day? What do you do when you're like dealing with all who's right alongside you? Who's playing for you?
Oh boy, I have married a woman who is so strong, and it wasn't obvious to me of her strength until I fell and stumbled, and you wouldn't believe how that woman, her name's Emily, rose up to lift a guy like me. There is undue pressure in my world every day to try to get better, and that has been my mission, is not to say how can I grow a business. Instead, I focus every day. My first and primary task is to say, how can I get better? Because when a leader gets better, the tide rises for all. And so that's been my mission, is I need to show up every day. After working for the church for 8 years, I loved it, but it made worship in a traditional worship setting really difficult. It was a hard place to go and get fed. And so I've created disciplines in my life, and I've been intentional on feeding and fueling my soul, both with my exercise. Steve and I work out at the same place, but I didn't see him there this morning, so I'm just going to throw that out there.
Slacking again. Huh?
I know,
Wow.
I know. And so I'm intentional with all my actions to make sure that I'm fueling my soul. And then I married just a bombshell of a woman inside and out.
That's awesome. You are awesome. Keep up the great work. Congrats
you.
on the book.
Thank you.
And all the success. Quick Hatch Realty plug.
I'm gonna plug our book. We have a release party this Thursday at the good old Fargo Theater, 3:30 p.m. You can buy a ticket. You can buy a book. When you buy the ticket, you get the book for free. It's just $25. And go to hatchingleaders.com. At hatchingleaders.com, you can pre-order the book if you want, or you can show up on Thursday and see us at the Fargo Theater. We'll tell some stories and have a jolly time.
And if you want your home to sell, you list it with Hatch Realty, right?
Oh, well, we'll certainly love to do that.
Yeah. Bingo, bango, boom.
We've been intentional on never trying to push hard of the product that we sell. Instead, we try to just share the character and the love that we want to exude.
Thank you, sir.
It's a joy. It's a real joy.
Congrats on the book. Playing for the person next to you, Servant Leadership, great book, Erik Hatch. Thanks, Erik. Appreciate it.
Thank you.